Hi everyone. Today we'll discuss inter-VLAN routing using layer 3 switches. Generally, modern enterprise networks rarely use router on a stick because it does not scale early to meet the requirements here. In these very large networks, network administrators use layer 3 switches to configure inter-VLAN routing here. Inter-VLAN routing using router on a stick method is simple to implement a small to medium size organization here. Enterprise campus LANs use layer 3 switches to provide inter-VLAN routing. Layer 3 switches use hardware based switching to achieve higher packet processing rates than the routers here. Capabilities of layer 3 switch include route from one VLAN to another using multiple switch virtual interfaces and convert layer 2 switch port to layer 3 interface. A routed port is similar to the physical interface on a iOS Cisco router here. To provide inter-VLAN routing, layer 3 switches use SVI. SVIs are configured using the same interface VLAN ID command generally used to create management SVI on layer 2 switch here. Layer 3 switch SVI must be created for each of the routable VLANs. So the steps for configuring S1 with VLANs and trunking. First, create the VLAN, then example VLAN 10 or 20 using this example, and create SVI VLAN interfaces. The IP addresses configured will serve as a default gateway for the host in the respective VLAN, and then configure access ports, assign the appropriate port to the required VLAN, then enable IP routing, issue IP routing global configuration mode to allow traffic to exchange between VLANs 10 and 20. This command must be configured to enable inter-VLAN routing on layer 3 switch for IPv4. So we'll go for practical demo. So first we have taken PC 0 and PC 1 and multi-layer switch. Okay, VLAN 10, VLAN 20, and interface, you can see the interfaces are Z0 by 2 and 0 by 1, and fast Ethernet, and fast Ethernet 0 by 1 here. So first give the IP address. So already I set the IP address. Just double click on PC. So taking time. So open again Cisco Packet Tracer. Then open a file 1.5. Okay, just double click on PC. In that IP configuration, So IP is 192.168.10.10, 255.255.255.0, and default gateway is set to 192.168.10.1. Similarly for PC2, so 192.168.20.10 and subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and default gateway is 192.168.20.1 for PC1. Now go for layer 3 switch configuration. Configure this. So enable config T. So create VLANs first. VLAN 10 for PC1, and I can give the name as name LAN 10. Similarly for VLAN 20 also, name LAN 20. Exit. So create SY VLAN interfaces, then configure SY to VLANs 10 and 20. The IP addresses that are configured will serve as a default gateways to the host in their respective VLANs. So configure access ports. Configure access port by connecting to the host and assign to the respective VLANs here. So interface G0 by 2. Description access interface G0 by 2. Okay, now it's a description tab, access port to PC1. Okay, now switch mode, switch port access VLAN 10, exit. Similarly for interface gigabit 0 by 1, interface G0 by 1. Description access port to PC2 switch port, node access, switch port access VLAN 20. Now exit. Now enable IP routing. IP routing. Finally, enable IPv4 with IP routing global configuration mode to allow traffic to be exchanged between VLANs 10 and 20. This command must be configured to enable inter-VLAN routing on layer 3 switch for IPv4. Okay. So inter-VLAN routing using layer 3 switch is simpler to configure them router on strict method. Just go for the PC1 command prompt. Now ping PC2 our first IP config. So the output confirms IPv4 address and default gateway for PC1 IP config. So subnet mask address is 192.168.10.10 and IPv6 address, and subnet mask is 255.255.255. Default gateway is 192.168.10.1. Okay. Now just ping 192.pc2 168.20.10. Okay, it's pinging now. So the output contains IPv4 address as well as default gateway for PC1. This to verify the connectivity or to host in another using VLAN using ping command. So after this layer 3 switch inter-VLAN routing verification. Inter-VLAN routing using layer 3 switch is simpler to configure than router on strict method. After the configuration is complete, the configuration can be verified by testing connectivity between the host here. So from the host, verify the connectivity to the host in another VLAN using ping command. Already did it. It is a good idea to first verify the current host IP configuration using ipconfig Windows host command here. Next, verify connectivity with PC2 using ping Windows host command. The successful ping output confirms inter-VLAN routing is operating here. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.